one of her students. She was, I think, 3 years older than him. But anyhow, she was his teacher. And he had to go to the war. He had to go to World War II. And I don't remember if he joined or if he...
He joined.
Or,
No, I think he was called.
Yeah, he had to go to the war. Well, while he was gone to war, she got married. But her husband had TB, and he died. So, when Uncle R.C. came back from the war, he had heard about her husband dying, and he went to give her his sympathy, about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said they had a really nice visit. And for the next 2 months, every time she got home from school,
before he passed
he was
away.
sitting on the porch.
He passed away in 1948.
So he decided that she was taking a typing class at night because she was getting tired of teaching. She wanted to do something in an office, do something different. So
he had surgery and they put it back on.
he was a pest. He kept showing up when she had things she needed to do. She needed to grade papers and do that and the other. And she told him one night, she says, R.C., I've got things I've got to do tonight. She says, I've got to take my typing class. I've got to find a better job than what I've got. He says, you don't need to work at all. It's my wife, you don't need to work at all. That was his proposal.
Had double doors.
But he had no money.
This house was over 100 years old.
So he says,
we'd open the door, but she couldn't.
he says, I've just about spent all the money I had saved up while I was in the service. He says, I'm going to go to Dallas and get a job, and I'll write you to come to me.
I turned that around and she's like, shit. So I leaned out the mirror.
She said, okay. So he was gone 3 weeks and she hadn't heard anything. And she thought he'd changed his mind and didn't know how to write her and tell her. And there weren't phones around, so it was up to the mail. Finally, like 4 weeks later, she got a letter from him, but it wasn't from Dallas. He was in New Mexico. He had gone to Dallas and couldn't find a job. But he had heard about a job in Tucumcari, New Mexico. So he had hitchhiked. He didn't have a car.
I don't think
He had hitchhiked to Tucumcari.
Did I get you one of these?
That's his grandparents. That's his mother's parents.
That's the one that's on her headstone.
Oh, no.
Y'all got this, I believe. The headstone.
you read that one, right?
I think you didn't put it on the computer? Okay. You got one.
Anyhow, so he wrote her a letter and told her,
Maybe I saw that.
he says, I got a
was
job
thinking
and I'm
you did.
working long hours, and it was working in the mines. And he says, I've got a room. He was in a rooming house. He says, I've got a room, and he gave her the address
I never met them.
and said, come when you can. I mean, really romantic. She quit her job teaching. She packed up her little car and took off to Tucumcari. Wasn't sure her car would make it at all.
Wow.
But she went. She got to the rooming house like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the landlady was expecting her. He had told her, he had written her in that she would be coming. So she showed her room, and she said, this is y'all's room. She says, now RC's working double shift because they're really busy out there right now. So he won't be in until about 7 or 8 o'clock. Okay, so she unloaded her car and got their room fixed. He came in,
His brother is right here.
took a bath and cleaned up, and
and
the landlady knew the lady who took care of the marriage licenses in Tucumcari. She called her. The lady met him at the office. She was in her robe with her hair in rollers,
That's a headstone right
but
there.
she gave him a marriage license.
And
And then they called the preachers in town till they found a preacher that would marry them that night. They got there, the preacher, they had already were ready for bed. the preacher's wife was in her nightgown, and the mother-in-law was in her robe and everything, and they were their witnesses. And they went and they got married. She says, we couldn't just live together. But they went, and that's their romance. Isn't that something?
That is. Now, that was your...
That was my mother's brother and his wife.
Okay, so that was your uncle.
Uncle R.C.
Okay.
He's one that owned the brown tan Chevy.
Yeah, that pickup I have out there. That was his.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was so, yeah. So she went there, and as soon as he got off work, everybody pulled together and found people, and they got married before bedtime. Well,
that's awesome. That's so cool.